3-year-olds in the last engagement.
Okay, Thoroughbred Idea Foundation. My name is Brian Langwa. I'm a veterinarian in Pennsylvania. A lot of people just refer to me as Doc. And I do have some ideas, actually, for, I think, what could help improve the racing game, as well as, looking at things from a little bit of a different perspective. I am a passionate fan of racing, and I feel that really a lot of times the fan's perspective is one of the things that is most ignored by the industry when we look at what we want. And I do realize that there's a lot of different industry stakeholders that are constantly pulling and pushing and wanting their ideas in and wanting things for their own way. But I am going to present some things that I think will help with the fans' perspective of the sport. And one of the biggest things I've noticed is that the sport's done a pretty decent job of at least marketing the big days, or trying to do some marketing to get people out to the track. And I do think that has worked to an extent. Marketing in horse racing is still something I think that is woefully lacking on so many levels. But what the tracks then fail to do is really kind of hold the interest of those people when they're at the track. Let's be honest, there's some great excitement for a minute and a half maybe, and then there's that 25 to 30 minutes of downtime in between each race. And a little bit of that is filled, obviously, with the horses in the paddock and things like that. But there's so much that can be done, and not necessarily in the break between every race, but at least in the break between some of the races, that can serve as both entertainment for the fans, education for the fans, and a way for them to stay engaged. And it doesn't have to just be through the handicapping aspect and having the track handicappers on and talking about the races and stuff like that. There are so many cool, neat little things that you could do that would not really require that much effort on the track's part. The first of which is hold some fun contests involving social media or texting. It can be something as simple as, hey, here's a sire's name, here's a dam's name, let's say they have a foal. Name that foal. And then whoever wins or submits the best response gets a free betting voucher or some sort of free voucher at the track to kind of keep their attention. You can even have some fun with names as far as hunch bets, just going around and saying, hey, well, if you're interested in this horse was named after this, or this horse's sire has this, name behind it, or things like that, or is named after this person or this event. Things that just kind of engage them. You can be walking around the track and asking people what simple racetrack terms mean. It could be almost like a, Johnny on the spot type of interview, saying, hey, do you know what the spit box is? Or do you know how long a furlong is? Things like that. Have them, videotape their answers, show that in a little montage, and then give the answer. I'm sure you'll probably get some pretty hilarious thoughts as to what certain things are. There are people out there that don't know what the paddock is. So providing some very basic educational segments in between races, introduction to racing, introduction to betting, not the fancy exotics and the pick 4s and the pick 5s and the pick 6s. Simple, win, place, and show, and what they mean. I've stood down at the rail so many times and just listened to people around me, and I can't tell you how many times just something as simple as understanding what the win odds mean and what they're going to get paid is misconstrued. There are so many people that stand there, look at a horse that's maybe like 5-1 on the board, and they look at the area just below it and they say, oh, well, if he wins, I'm going to get $72. Wait, now I'm going to get $83. Well, oh, now I'm going to get $95 if he wins. They're looking at the win pool total for that horse, and they just have no clue as to exactly how the odds and everything correlate. Something very simple to put out in a little bit of a video educational segment. And I do realize that throughout the tracks there are these things that are there, the booth setup, how to bet, all of that stuff. That's great, but you've really got to get the attention of the whole crowd involved. And you've got to get them behind things and following a lot of these things that are going on in between the races to keep them engaged. It's hard these days to keep people engaged in something that does run, the event only once every 25 to 30 minutes. So some of that can be handicapping. Here's another thing that I think would be very easy for tracks to implement and would be a bonus for aftercare as well. I call it the Riders Up promotion, where for a basic donation to an aftercare organization of the track's choice or the horseman's choice or even the person's choice, that person or family gets to go down into the paddock and make the Riders Up call for that race. That is something that would be totally amazing for people that are new to racing to experience, to get down into the paddock, to see the jockeys up close, see the horses up close, and then be the one that makes that announcement, Riders Up, for that race, and then seeing their favorite horse and their jockey get up. Something, again, very simple for a track to implement and a benefit to all of the aftercare organizations out there. Take it one step further and look at it a little bit more from that perspective. You've got the buglers. Why not have a guest bugler day? Maybe you contact some of the local high schools or the colleges that have musical programs. And if somebody there who happens to be a good trumpet player or something like that wants to come out for a day at the track and be the one to do that famous call to the post for a couple of races, that's going to bring them out. They're going to get interested in the sport. It's also going to bring their families and friends out to see what a great sport this is and to hopefully educate them a little bit about it and really make it a great day at the races. The marketing to get people to the track is getting better. It's nowhere near great, but it's getting there. The problem is the tracks now have to put the emphasis in on the product that they're producing. And they have to do it through educational segments. They have to do it through fun little video segments that can be done right there on the track, sometimes live, sometimes on tape, and just do things that are just fun and engaging for the fans. And that's really what I think should be done, and one of my Thoroughbred ideas, one of many, but I'm going to focus for this one just on that aspect and retaining the fan interest. There's so much fun you can have with the Derby coming up. You could be collecting video clips right now of who do you think's going to win the Derby and why, and then at the track, if they're holding a promotion that day, go out and show it. If they're doing a hat contest, obviously show that up on the big board and the people that are winning. Just all of these things that you can do that don't involve a lot of money, maybe involve a little bit of effort, but just involve enough of the track showing that they really do care about what the fans want and what will work for the fans. They've obviously tried it their way for so long, it's not working, we're not engaging new fans, and yes, there's drug issues and cheating issues that everybody is concerned about when it comes to those things, and there are ways that you can talk about those things and obviously put pressure on to make sure that there are proper penalties really imposed on people that do those sorts of things. But when you're talking about the average fan and trying to bring in the average fan, not just for one day, but for them to come back and want to gamble, that's something that you really need to do. You've got to find ways to engage the fan on track and keep them engaged, entertained, and educated. Really, that's what it comes down to, and that's what my ideas are about and surround. Very simple things you can do to make it a fun day at the track. The horse racing obviously is paramount, but also all the little nuances that go into a day at the track. Understanding the betting again, understanding some of the racing terms, having some fun with people out in the crowd. If there's a big score that somebody makes, hey, pull them over and see if they'll be interested in being interviewed real quick about the the huge score that they just had and how much fun they had for it. That's what's going to bring more people into the game, is the experience at the track, not just the races themselves. So, my name is Brian Langlois, a veterinarian in Pennsylvania, commonly known as Doc, and a huge passionate racing fan, and that is my first set of Thoroughbred ideas, hopefully to improve fan interest and fan retention in the sport.